Good day, folks. Welcome to the MB Wildman channel. On today's video, just a real quick talk, about bear hunting basics. Now, this is for those of you, this video is for those of you that are just getting into bear hunting, or you're wondering like how to set up your first bear bait or what to do when you're just starting out. For those of you guys that are out there shooting, 400 and 500 pound bear, and you've been doing this for years and you got all the fancy tricks, this video is not for you. So this is bear baiting basics, kind of 101. And I'm going to walk you through a brand new site and just kind of show you how it's set up and what we did. And if you follow this sort of, this sort of method, then you're going to be successful if there's bears in your area. So there's a couple of three key points that I'm gonna talk about when it comes to bear baiting. The first point is real easy. Bears like dark woods and they like swampy areas and things like that. Now, I'm not saying that you're not going to get bears up on hardwood ridges or anything like that, because if you've ever done any amount of deer hunting, you know that especially in New Brunswick, the black bears are everywhere. But if you're going to target and you want to target some bear, you want to look for those dark woods, those swampy areas, places like that. You want to look for an area that's kind of out of the way and not necessarily on a heavily used, game trail or anything like that. Okay, bears will come to you. So anyway, listen, stick with me. I'm going to go through a few points of bear baiting basics. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the MB Wildman channel, we sure would appreciate it. It doesn't cost anything. Just go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on that bell so that you get notified when we upload new content. Wouldn't want you to miss any videos. So here we go, the basics of bear baiting. So let's take a look, first of all, at the location that we've selected for this particular bait. At the end of this road, way out there, they've dug up the culvert so that vehicles can't drive in and out of here. There's also a big beaver dam here, a fresh active beaver house or two right in this area here, and then a bunch of swamp all up in through that way. That's all old tamarack and all old swampy area, okay? Straight back in this area is where it's kind of a dark, what I would call a dark forest. A lot of firs, spruce, a lot of thickly, a lot of wood all kind of bunched together real thick. So what we've done is we've come about 400, 500 yards down this road that you can't access with a vehicle, and we walked it in, and then we set up our barrel, our bait barrel, at the end of sort of where the road stops and where the trucks would have come in to turn when they hauled wood out of that cut right there. So let's go talk about the bait barrel. Okay, so the bait barrel itself can be, plastic, it can be steel, it can be whatever. Again, you'll get all kinds of guys that tell you and girls that tell you, one is better than the other. You should use steel, you should use plastic, you should use this, that, the other thing. It really doesn't matter. Bears don't care. As long as there's food in that barrel, bears are going to come knock it over and eat out of the barrel. One of the key things I like to do is I like to chain or attach my barrel, right? I just poked a couple holes in the bottom of it, and then I ran a chain over around a tree here, right here. Just the only reason I do that is so that because you'll get some bears that will knock these over, they'll roll them around, and they'll take them a fair bit away from the area that you kind of where your look is from your camera, and we don't want to do that, like from your camera and from your tree stand. So first thing is to attach your barrel to something if you want to. That makes it a little easier to find. The next reason I do that, of course, is because I've got this beaver dam real close, and I didn't like the prospect of fishing my barrel out of that water over there every time I came in to check it. So attach your barrel. That's the first thing for you beginning bear baiters. The second thing is leave the top of your barrel open. Now, this is a huge controversy for all kinds of bear baiters out there. You're going to get all kinds of people tell you, well, you know what, you got to have the barrel's got to be closed. It's got to only be a little small hole in it. Like, you'll see videos, and you'll see bear hunters with barrels on spinners and barrels with holes in the side with a bunch of sticks and trees stuck in them. You'll see barrels with a big rock on top, and you're making the bears work for their food. And you know what, if you've got a fully established site and you got bears coming there every year and you're trying to grow a big bear, right? You're trying to get a bear that's up there, in weight and skull size and all that. Those are all really good ideas. But if you're a beginning bear baiter and you're just starting out and you want to bring bears to your barrel, leave it open. Put some food in it, give them easy access to the barrel and to the food in it, and you'll draw bears. Bears will come in, they'll knock the barrel over, they'll be able to eat out of it, and then they'll be like, oh, look at that, that was pretty easy. I'll come back here tomorrow night. I'll come back here the next night. I'll come back here the next night. And each time they'll be able to eat food from the barrel. Now, what goes along with that is once you get your barrel, once you show up and check your bait and it's knocked over and the barrel's been cleaned out, you don't need to bait it with a huge amount of food. That's one mistake that a lot of beginning bear hunters make, is that they want to fill their barrel with food, right? So they want to take this barrel and they want to lay it right full of meat and right full of stuff for the bears to eat. And then they keep thinking, man, this is costing me a fortune. I got to, I'm using corn, I'm using molasses, I'm using whatever it is that you're using for bear bait. And they're using a pile of it, which isn't necessary. If you're gonna leave the top off the barrel, you only need a little bit of food to keep them coming back over and over and over again. And you don't only have to put it in the barrel. It's okay to spread it around in the area of the barrel. That'll keep them sort of picking it off the ground and keep them there for longer. Okay, your camera. Not always necessary. It depends on what you want to do, whether or not you're gonna have a camera on your bear bait or not. But one thing in particular, if you start with a camera at your bear bait, leave it there. Or if you start a bear bait without a camera, don't add a camera to it. Bears are incredibly sensitive to any change in the environment. So if you've already got bears coming to your bait and they've already knocked over the barrel and they've already been eating at it, don't think to yourself, oh man, I need to check out how big that bear is, and then put a camera in. Oftentimes that'll spook bears for an extended period of time, right? If you're gonna use a camera, keep it low, right? Keep it low to the ground, maybe 3 feet up. Make sure it's in a bear box. And you should be good for that. You want to keep your camera about 10 yards, depending on the camera you have, from the barrel, and you don't want it to be the focal point, right? Because bears will come over and they'll maul them and they'll bite them or whatever, but you're usually good with the bear box. So camera's up to you. Let's talk about what you put in the barrel. Okay, so when you're just starting out and you're first getting going with baiting bears, you want to start, especially for the spring bear, you want to start with meat in your barrel. So go to the butcher shop, go to the freezer, take out everything that's freezer burned, whatever, keep your bacon grease, all of those types of things. And you want to put meat in your barrel. You want to do that early enough in the spring so that as it warms up, that rots and gets a really rotten meat smell. That will bring bears into your area, especially once they get out of their den and they get on green grass and whatnot. Then they're going to start to smell that and they're going to start to wander over to your area. Once you've got a bear in your area, and they've knocked over the barrel and they've eaten out of it a couple of times, you don't need to keep using meat. You can stop using meat and go to whatever bait you want. Anything sweet, bread, molasses, corn, bears will eat anything. Table scraps, put the old pork chop bones in there, it doesn't make any difference. So bears will eat pretty much anything. But to establish them at the beginning, what you want to do is you want to use meat. Now, once I got a bear coming, I switch over and I go strictly corn and molasses because I buy my molasses cheap. The feed store in Heartland sells molasses for 75 cents a kg. It's a steal. It's feed molasses and it's perfect for what we do. And I can buy a 50-pound bag of corn there for next to nothing. It just makes sense. And once the bears are coming, you don't need to lug a lot of it in. I brought it in today. I brought some bait into this spot today, and we're gonna hunt this spot tonight. And I brought in less than a half a pail, and I brought in a little bit of vanilla extract instead of molasses this time, just to change it up a little bit to give a different smell. But for the most part, it's just corn and molasses. So for you beginning bear baiters out there, that you want to know what to put in the barrel to get started, don't spend a lot of money. Just get some meat scraps from the butcher, get that in the barrel. Once the bears find it and knock the barrel over, I can feed all spring season long with 1 bag of corn and, 3 or 4 or 5, liters of molasses. It's not that big a deal once you got bears coming. So simple is better. And the bears, once they establish the spot, the bears will be there. The other thing for bait, spread it around a little bit. You see the ground? See I got corn spread all over the ground here? Right, so the reason we do that is just to keep the bear from just knocking the barrel over and licking everything up and then going away. So they'll have to pick, right? They'll have to kind of pick around all through the ground here and scoop up all this corn if they want to, continue to eat. So you give them something in the barrel that's easy and quick, and then you spread the rest around the barrel, and you make sure when you spread it around that you've got it kind of in your shooting area. I don't know if you can see this or not, probably not, but from where I'm standing, this group of trees right there is exactly 54 yards from where I am. And that group of trees is where the tree stand is. Okay, so let's go talk about tree stands and location. Okay, so here's the tree stand, and it's pretty well hidden in back of this clump of trees, and it's right there, as you can see. We'll step around here. Okay, so the first thing about tree stands is, in my opinion, is that you don't want to have to walk between your bait and your tree stand to access your tree stand. You always want to be able to come into it from the back. And I would be coming in here and I would be sneaking in and I would turn, and you've got a nice little trail that's cut right in this way, all the way around, and then we walk it in, and then you're kind of hidden in this, the barrel's out that way, right? So you're kind of hidden in this group of trees, and you're gonna turn, and then you can ascend your tree stand. The tree stand doesn't have to be super far up. That's personal preference for you. If you like to be, you know, in one of these big tall ladder stands that's 16 feet tall or something like that, then you can go ahead and do that. Or, I mean, this one here just has 2 ladder sections and then the top part. Lots of times I've seen people hunt out of just 1 ladder section, just enough to get you up off the ground so that you can see. One of the most important things though is you want some backing. So if you take a look at this tree stand is against this tree, but in the back of it, you can see that there's some brush and you can see that there's some trees in the background. And when you look at it from the front, you'll see it's really difficult to see this tree stand. Like, it's because of all the stuff in behind it. If you're looking from out front, it's not silhouetted against the sunlight, and it's real good as far as concealment goes. Okay, so use whatever tree stand you're comfortable with. You just want to make sure that you got it nestled back somewhere out of the way. And the distance to your bait from your tree stand, again, for you new hunters out there that are just starting out, I would try to keep it, especially if you're going to use, if you're using a rifle, I would try to keep it within that 50-yard range, somewhere in that range or closer, right? I took a bear last night, and I was at about 40-ish yards, maybe 35, 40 yards, using the rifle with the same type of setup. This particular stand is 54 yards from sitting in the tree stand to the barrel. So, I mean, that's pretty good with a rifle. If you're gonna hunt with a bow, then obviously you need to make those adjustments for whatever you're comfortable shooting the bow with, but you just want it not too far. It's not like a deer stand. I mean, I've got deer stands that are 250 yards from the stand to the, you know, to the deer spot, because, you know, it's just a different creature and you're hunting a different type of style. Make sure you got a pretty good look from your tree stand, but you don't need to see a whole lot. Unlike a deer hunter, again, where I want to be able to see a big field, you know, a big area where deer may approach from, I like to keep my bear bait lanes real small, real tight. You're only going to shoot them pretty much at the bait anyway. So take a look at what I can see from this stand. So I'm sitting in the stand right now, and this is all cover down below me here. So any bears approaching the barrel or any bears down in, you know, in this little open area aren't going to see me up here. I'm pretty much concealed behind some of these small firs, and these tops are great. And all I've done is just snipped just a shooting lane right here. So obviously my shooting rail and my tree stands are going to come down in front of me, and I'm going to have that look right there, which is a perfect look at the bait, 54 yards. Right? They're not going to be coming across the water, obviously. So they'll be walking either out the back straight toward me, or they'll be coming in right to left out this way, which is fine too. On a very rare occasion, I have seen some tracks actually coming up this road behind me where I just walked in. So there is a possibility that you might get a bear come in, walk right past your stand on the right and walk up toward the bait. But even though, I mean, that's great. You're just going to wait till he gets out in front, then you're going to wait for you to give yourself a good shot, and then you're going to take him. So this is the look that I have from up here, which is really good as far as a beginning new bait goes. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. And I'm not gonna try to tell you that I know everything, or that, you know, people may choose to do things differently or whatever. This is just for beginning bear baiters. But if you're starting out a spot, just remember some key things. Number one, chain your barrel down, or you're going to have it rolled all over the place. Leave the top of your barrel open so they have easy access to the food. And once they start bringing in food, once they start eating the food, you don't need to bring in a lot. So, because the barrel will clean whatever you put in there every night, right? So you don't need a lot of food. Camera if you want. Keep your tree stand hidden as much as you can. Keep your distance, you know, inside that 50-yard range or so. Make sure you got a good look at your barrel, at your bait spot. It doesn't have to be wide open, it can be nice and tight. The only other thing I'll mention is wind, right? So bears are great. They can scent you really easily, okay? They don't hear real well, but they can certainly smell real well. So you want to make sure that you're basically looking, in New Brunswick anyway, for the most part, in a northwest direction, right? Because you get a lot of west wind, you get a lot of north wind, you get a lot of northwest wind. So if you're looking northwest, you're going to have like one wind coming back at you one side, the other wind this way, and the other right in your face. So you should basically have a good walk into your stand with the wind in your face. And as you're sitting in your stand, the wind should always be obviously in your face. But for most of you hunters, you guys know that anyway. So anyway, look, I hope this video something can help you out. And again, it's just for beginning bear baiters. So we're going to call this one Bear Baiting Basics, and we'll go from there. So until next time, happy hunting from the MB Wildman channel.